So right now we want to continue exactly from where we stopped. We've completed building the first server. Now we are going to build the second server. If you are joining for the first time, please hit on the subscribe button below this video so that you don't miss any update from me. So we are trying to build a complete microservices architecture from beginning to the end. So we built the primary server and now we are trying to build the secondary server. So basically the secondary server will simply be like the first one. So I'm going to actually be fast and furious right here. I'm going to be copying and pasting from the first one to this one. So I'm going to say new project. And just like I used to say, you need to kind of leave the tutorial page open. But in case of the servers right now, I actually don't have the complete steps because it's very easy to build. So the name of this project is going to be product server 2. Group is going to become the kinds and the genius. Become the kinds and the genius, and artifact ID is going to be product server 2, and the name is going to be product server 2 microservice. Product server 2 microservice. Right, so there is a much you need to do at this point, and now I'm going to go to next, and again we are going to choose Lombok. We are going to choose MongoDB, Spring Data Mongo. That's this one, Spring Data Mongo. So don't choose the wrong thing. Choose Spring Data Mongo, and I also choose REST repositories. And for some, I'm also going to choose web, Spring Web. All right. So these are all the dependencies we need. I'm going to click on next, and everything should be fine. I'm going to say finish. New window, yeah, new window. So now I'm going to move the existing application away to another place. So I'm going to be actually copying and pasting from this other application. So again, so I can easily make this full screen right now because I don't really need to follow the step-by-step in the website because this is very, very clear. It's easy. I've done it several times for you. So at this point, I'm going to go to SRC main Java, and we're going to create 3 different packages. One package for the model, one package for. So I'm going to say new package. It's going to be repositories. Actually, I could have put everything in the base package because we're not creating more than one of these things. But this is the best practice when you are building an application. It's better to separate things into different packages. And finally, we have controllers. All right, so the first thing we want to do is to build the model. So I'm going to create a Java class. I'm going to call it products, and I'm going to go to the existing product and actually copy and paste. So let's go down here. All right, so this is what we have. So I'm going to copy and paste right here, Control V. And we also need to annotate this class with our data annotation. For some reason, I don't know why Lombok does not help us out here. So let's see. So the next thing I want to do is to go to this controller and create. Maybe I'm going to create a repository first. So I'm going to say new Java class product repository. And this is going to be an interface, or a repository also always have to be an interface, and it's going to extend Mongo repository, specify the model class, and it's going to be product. And also the primary key type is going to be string, and that is what we did use, string. And you need to annotate with REST repositories. At repository REST resource. Okay, so we have I think we need to specify collection resource rel. It should be this one. We also specify URL is equal to actually path is equal to product data as well. So we can actually visit these URLs and actually see what is there. So in case you've not worked with REST repositories before, we can actually see it right now. Let me import collection. There's a little typo here. Okay, perfect. And finally, we are going to build the controller right now. So I'm going to right click on the controller and say new Java class, and it's going to be a REST controller. Actually product controller, and we are going to annotate this class with as REST controller annotation. So this annotation as REST controller makes this a REST controller so that it can receive requests coming from the client, and it's going to execute the methods defined in this controller class. So I'm going to copy and paste just to save time. I'm going to copy and paste. Again, there are 3 steps. You are going to auto wire the repository into this controller, and then you're also going to create the 2 methods for select all product and for select a single product. So product repository, import the class, and also product, import the class as well. Okay. So the last thing we need to do, actually second to the last one, is to create the initialization class. Okay. Again, in case you don't know, you can actually copy a complete file from one project to another, but I'm not going to do that. So first we are going to create a file new, and it's going to be initialization component. As I mentioned before, this class contains the initial code that is going to run when this project starts, when this server starts up. And this initialization code, initialization class contains a method annotated with at post construct annotation, which shows that this method is going to run code that will post data into the MongoDB database through the repository. And this class is going to be a component, and it's going to be annotated with a component annotation. And at this point, we need to auto wire the repository in here and also create a few products and insert or save into the repository. Before I do that, I'm going to actually write the init method, public void init. So this method now is a method that actually will execute when this at post construct is this method that's going to execute when the application starts up. To save time, I'm going to also copy and paste. So I'm going to go to where I have it, and I'm going to copy first. I'm going to copy the auto-wired code because we are going to use the repository to do the insertion. So we need to auto-wire the repository in here. So we also need to import the class. Now this code, I'm going to copy and paste and maybe do a little explanation for you. All right, so we created a product. First, we delete everything in the repository because we want in such a way that when this program starts up, it's going to initialize a new database where the name of the database is product. Is specified in the name of this database is specified in the application properties file, but this table called product is created and initialized with new data. So for some reason, the Lombok does not work so well. So we need to create the getters and the setters manually. If you know why this problem is there, please let me know in the comment box below this video. Because it seems to be working with MySQL or with H2 database or PostgreSQL, but with MongoDB, the getter and setters does not work when we use Lombok. So I've not figured that out. I think I don't really know. So go to the product class and let's create. Let's go to right click and say generate, and we are going to generate the getter and setter. We're going to select everything and say OK. And that is perfectly well. Finally, we are going to specify the URL for the Mongo database as well as the port for this server 2. And take note that we have the port should be port 8082, I'm going to go to application.properties. I'm going to say server.port to 8082, and the database URL is going to be specified like this. Now basically you can have the two database can have it pointing to the same database, but since we are talking about microservices have a principle of separation or segregation of data. So each microservice needs to have its own database. So it's going to be completely separated from the other database, but contains the same data. So in the real production, we may have one database to be the main database, and it's actually mirrored to the other database. But in this case, let's just make it complete database per service pattern, where all the services have their own integrated database. So we call it secondary DB, and I'm going to. So at this point, you are pretty much done. I'm going to run this application at this point. Already you know how to set up the configuration. You simply go edit configuration, because if you are not using the Ultimate Edition, which is not free, then you will not have a configuration set up for you by Spring. You'll need to create your own configuration. And to do that, click on the configuration, edit configuration, and go to click on the plus sign and simply look for Maven. That's Maven. And choose and simply say Spring Boot Run, and specify before launch. Also, we try to build. All right, so apply. Okay, so we now have a configuration, a Maven configuration for this project, and we can easily click to run it. So I'm going to click on this run button right here. Let's run it. Let's just make sure our server 2, our secondary server, is well built and it's working perfectly. While it's starting up, let me just show you the next steps we are going to follow. So we built our 2 servers. It seems we have a long way to go because we are just in step 1 and we have 11 steps, but never mind, we are going to really be so fast. The next step is to build the UI application, the web application that actually connects to the server. Meanwhile, our application is starting up. So we'll spend a bit more time with the product web. So that's where actually the work is done. Also note that the main client and the Hystrix is implemented here in the product web. We'll modify this file in the next part to be able to see the Hystrix dashboard. And so let's see where we are. Again, I would like to remind you to not give up, because sometimes it could be challenges. There could be some challenges. And now we have some error. So unlike before. All right, so it says must either start with. Okay, so we have an error here. It should be MongoDB. Let's have a typo right here. So I'm going to save all and restart the application right now. So as I was saying before, sometimes it might be a bit challenging getting things done in this way. But don't give up. If you're able to follow this series now from beginning to end, complete this architecture of all these 5 services, plus the Angular UI, plus the 2 servers, plus everything, the pin client, the Hystrix, you're able to do everything and monitor it, then you are a software engineer. Even if you are a beginner, but you successfully completed all the steps in this application, then you are a software engineer. There's nothing that stops you from going to any length you want. So basically, we have another error. So we have localhost at port. So that's why sometimes I really don't like typing things. I like copying and pasting, because I'm not a very good typist, you know, so I'm very careless when it comes to typing. All right, so let's see. So while it's starting up, I'm going to go to port 8082. Port 8082, I'm going to just hit. So for 8082, it fails because it's not started up, but hopefully it's going to show up something. Let's see. Okay, so it started up at port 8082. So if we go back here, you see that it's fetched the data, and we have our data right here. A little change, you can see that The data here is coming from the USA, location USA, location USA. Let's change for server 2. Let's change the location of the product to India so that when there is a failure, we will be able to see in the GUI when we build it that the failure is, we clearly see that the routing was actually rerouted to the second server. So let me go to product server 2 right here, go to initialization component. So here, instead of using USA, I'm going to say India, and also I'm going to use India here. And finally, India. All right, so we are done with building our 2 servers now. We get that one off our back. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to move on to the next part where we're going to starting to build the product web. I'd like to remind you to subscribe if you've not subscribed to my channel. Hit on the subscribe button. And if you have any challenges whatsoever following these lessons, please let me know, because this is time of lockdown, I'm sure you know. So I'm always here at home to help. If you leave any comment, I'm going to respond to you. If you have any challenges, I'm always here to help you. I remain Kind the Tech Pro, and we'll see you in the next part.